Hi, my name is Osman Ouattara, and I'm the PGR director at GDI.
Hi, my name is Matilda, and I'm a second year PhD student at GDI.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mahtab Uddin. I'm on my write-up period for my PhD in the GDI.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to give you some background on how the PhD in development economics actually came about. We have around 100 PGRs at GDI, and about a third of them, their research focus on development economics. And the idea was to introduce a program which reflect their degree so that when they go to the job market, they are able to compete with their peers studying economics. So that's the reason why we kind of introduced the development economic PhD at the GDR, which about a third of our PGR are taking. The next question will be, to ask you, what is your topics?
So I'm looking at mainly environmental economics and natural resource economics. So there are two in that. So broadly, my topic and my PhD is part of two projects that is headed by Professor Johan Odikop. So it's the Sustainable Forest Transition Project and then the Observatory for Forest and Just Transition Project. So those two projects are looking at how land rights and resource extraction rights impact some economic outcomes like socioeconomic outcomes like poverty, inequality, and then some environmental outcomes like deforestation, reforestation, and all of that. So that is the broad idea of what my PhD is about. But I'm looking at that with a focus on Ghana. So in that project, we have people looking at that with a focus of Brazil, Mexico, and other countries. But my PhD is looking at it in terms of Ghana. So how has land right tenure systems in Ghana impacted people, so the community, in terms of are they better off with a secure tenure or worse off with a secure tenure? And how have this mining extractive that is being done in Ghana, so like mining of gold and all of that, how has that also impacted some outcome? So that is the broad question that I'm trying to answer for my PhD, but we have like different questions that we are trying to look at, like how there's a trade-off between cocoa production and then mining in Ghana, and how most of the cocoa farms have been converted to mining sites in Ghana, and then looking at mining impact on health outcomes also is one topic or one area that we are trying to look at. So for mine, I would say it's very broad, looking generally at forest and forest outcomes, and also looking at it in terms of, like you said, development and how best we can help understand the mechanisms through which tenure and extractive can help the people that we are looking at it for. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mostly work on poverty, inequality, migration, remittances. So the PhD I'm looking at, I'm from Bangladesh. So basically what I'm looking at is how the migration and remittances affect the poverty, inequality dynamics in the country. The reason is Bangladesh is one of the most dense populated country in the world. We have around 170 million people in the country. And we are also one of the highest number of remittance sender country in the world. So there are around 16 million people who are working overseas. But one issue is the international migration is very highly costly in the country. So not everyone can afford to go to the overseas market. So this has distributional effect. So Bangladesh each month receives billions of dollars from the overseas in the country. But if the people from the lower quantiles, they do not get chance to participate in the this overseas market, that can have distribution consequences. So in my PhD, what I'm looking at how these migration dynamics affect the inequality in the country. So and also I'm looking at in one of my papers is how the COVID-19 pandemic affected these migrant and non-migrant households. So basically, looking at the distributional consequences in the household dynamics, and also how the massive shocks like the COVID-19 pandemic that affects these dynamics.
Thank you very much. You both have a background in economics. could you tell me why you choose to come and study a PhD in development economics?
Okay, I can go first. So I have an undergraduate degree in economics with geography from the University of Ghana, and a first master's degree also in economics, but labor economics from the University of Ghana, and then a second master's in economics, but environmental economics from the University of Montana in the US, and then the PhD. So in deciding where I wanted to do my PhD for, I was looking for a program that focused specifically on environmental economics, natural resource economics, and development economics. It's quite hard to find a program that does all three in one. It's mostly you'd either find a program where they're either focusing on, for instance, health economics or environmental economics or other aspects. You hardly find a program that focuses on development economics. So when I was approached, so I actually applied for the program via the project route. So Johan's Sustainable Forest Transition Project was looking for a PhD student to look at the development aspect of the things they were looking at. So I thought it would be quite good to combine all the different aspects of economics that I know, which is the environmental and natural resource economics, and then adding that to the development economics angle as well, so that I'm not cut off with just saying that I'm just an environmental economist or a natural resource economist, because development economics kind of cuts across everywhere. Even if you are studying health economics, labor economics, there's always that aspect of development in there. So Johan mentioned that the development economics program was going to be launched when I come in. So I was like, okay, then that's a good program for me then, since I was trying to get a program that captures development economics or has the angle of development economics that I could use. So I wouldn't necessarily have to say I'm an environmental economist or a natural resource economist. When I say development economist, you can think of literally any angle that you want and it would still capture me being an economist. So yeah, that was what brought me to the program and made me apply for it.
So if I understand what you are trying to say, the program, the PhD in development economics here at GDI University of Manchester kind of allow you to learn in an interdisciplinary environment and on issues that are relevant to a developing country.
Yes. So I feel like for this program, in fact, when you get into GDI, you see most of the PhD students doing so many different things, and I'm mostly very surprised when I hear of what my colleagues are doing. You can find someone doing something on health, like he's doing migration. It's so diverse, and at the center of it all is development in its way. We are all trying to look for studies or try to do studies to better the countries that we are looking at. And most of these countries that most of the researchers in GDI look at are mostly developing countries. So it's just, I feel like it was a good idea to bring development economics, since GDI was already doing most of their research around development anyway. So yeah, the fact that I can have 3 different areas of economics all in one for my PhD sounded very good to me. So I just decided to come into the program for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
I did my undergrad and master's in economics from the University of Dhaka, and then I joined the University of Dhaka as a lecturer of economics. I taught there for 5 years. One of the reasons why I chose GDI is particularly several of my colleagues, they did their PhD in the GDI and they are doing so good in Bangladesh. One of them I would like to mention is Professor Selim Rahan. He is considered one of the top economists in South Asia. So he did his PhD when it was IDPM, before GDI became GDI. So he did a PhD around 2005 or 2006, and then he went back to Bangladesh. And he is, the work he's doing with leading economists from around the world, and he applies international trade, computable general equilibrium, and CG modeling, and also poverty analysis. So I had the opportunity to work with him, and I was his student as well. So what motivated me is the profile of the GDI. So particularly when you look at the GDI, it has so diverse, group of scholars. So you have in the GDI we have people who are expert in macro, who are expert in poverty, inequality dynamics, we have also diverse group who are looking at environment. So so that gives you kind of a broader understanding. So when we talk about development is not unifocal. You cannot look at it just from one angle. it has to be holistic. It has to observe the phenomena from as many angles as possible. And that gives kind of, GDI a competitive edge over other departments, because if you need an insight from the perspective of, say, environmental perspective, we have that, scientists who are working here. If you want a perspective from, say, political economic perspective, because that is also very relevant in development, right? So there are very good researchers, amazing researchers in the GDI who are working on those fields. So you get to have that, cross perspective, interdisciplinary feedback when you're working on your thesis. So and all of my colleagues who did their PhD in the GDI, they talked so highly about the department. So that motivated me, because one of my colleagues told me that, GDI is one of the largest institute in the Europe who are working on development studies. So that kind of gave me a thing like, well, that owed the shot, right? So so I had my admissions in the US. I had a couple of funding in the US universities. But when I looked at the profile of the professors here, so I found some of the professors who are working on India and Bangladesh context. So you see, when you are working on with a supervisor, if the supervisor has a very vast knowledge on the country context, that makes your work much easier and more in depth. So and then I started my PhD journey. Thank you.
Yes, it's quite interesting what you both said, particularly in terms of the interdisciplinary nature of GDI and also the development economic project. And like you, I have a background in economics. I got my PhD in economics, in fact, from the University of Manchester. And I left to actually work in economics department. And then something was missing.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something related to development economics, so that's why I came to GDI. Okay. In terms of the development economic program itself, in what ways do you think it can help you to kind of develop your career and help you in achieving your goals?
I think I would go back to what you said about it being interdisciplinary. Just the fact that it's interdisciplinary alone positions most of us to branch into whatever area we want to branch into in future. So I'm in my second year. It's quite difficult to have a set plan or a set goal of where I want to be. Initially, I wanted to venture into purely economics. I don't want any development economics, environmental economics. I remember when Johan was trying to convince me to come for this program, I was like, I want a PhD in economics. I don't want a PhD in development economics, a PhD in that. But I feel like that positions you better in terms of you are not closed off in your terms of your title. So you have a PhD in development economics. Development economics could mean so many things. It could mean you are looking at it in terms of the health of the country you're looking at. It could mean you're looking at it in terms of the environment, like I'm looking at. It could mean so many things. You could even venture into the finance section based on your development economics knowledge. So for me, the immediate plan after the PhD is mostly to not hit the direct economics pathway where you find people that have a PhD in economics who just go either into teaching or research, but try to maybe do a postdoc also in development economics, if it's a different branch of development economics, because I have a PhD in development economics and not a PhD in environmental economics or anything. I could do a postdoc in something that is not even related to my PhD, but I have the qualification because I did a PhD in that. So that alone makes me, or it broadens my prospect and what I want to do in future in terms of where I want to go to. So if I get a postdoc in future that is focusing maybe on health economics, because one aspect of my PhD is looking at how mining affects health, I could easily fit into the health background. If I want to look at how, if I want to enter into a PhD that looks specifically at, let's say, poverty, inequality, I could easily do that because I've looked at that. It just makes me better off than most people that have a PhD in a particular niche area that they mostly look at. So I would say for me, my future is bright. in terms of I have so many options if when I'm done with it to decide from. So depending on the offers that come, I feel like I can venture into any other thing that I want to do because of the PhD in that program. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because we have a student who kind of area focus on development economics, and they kind of went to do either lectureship or postdoc in
Yeah.
health. Other went to environment. Other went to other
Yeah.
kind of area. It look like the PhD in development economics actually kind
Makes
of
you
offer many opportunities
Yeah.
once you complete your study. And
Yeah.
So, as I was saying, the one of my motivations of choosing the GDI was like, in GDI, many of the professors, they work for the Global South. GDI itself stands for, Global Development Institute. So our all the works that we see here, most of them are working for the Global South. So they have a very good understanding what is happening there, the country context, the situation analysis, and everything. So one of the motivations that worked for me to come to the GDI was that I want to go back to my country after I finish my PhD. So I have my job in the University of Dhaka. So when I finish my PhD here, I will go back to the University of Dhaka and resume my work there. So what makes me think like here I would be able to get a what made me think that GDI would be able to give me better training than the US universities was the focus of the works. Like the at the outset, when you talk about development is country specific. There is no one shoe that fits all. It has to be the policy prescriptions that I'm saying for Bangladesh, that would be very different than Ghana or any other country. So when you work on any particular thesis, you are in depth. You're going in depth, looking at what are the things that are happening there, how things are evolving, and what are the factors that affect. Because the same factor in Ghana can work very differently in Bangladesh or in Mexico. So most of the works I see in the context of the work I'm working on, poverty inequality. There are a lot of work that happened in Mexico, in other developed countries, but in the GDI, what gave me the opportunity is I had the supervisors who worked in the South Asian context, in Bangladesh context, and then so here what I felt like the opportunity to get in depth in the country context for my country where I'll go back. So you see, I thought that it will make me more or better prepared for my future career. And also I want to do a postdoc, definitely. And as Matilda was saying, when you do work on development, it is a vast area, and you choose one particular area, right? Like I'm choosing the poverty, inequality, the distribution consequences. Matilda is choosing environment. So we have the opportunity to in the postdoc in a more focused where we want to go. And also the just to say the facts, like nearly 1/5 of the global population, they live in poverty at this moment. If you look at the situations in India or in Bangladesh right now, we have around 8% extreme poor people. 170, if you take it 170 million and around 10%, 8% is living extreme poverty, that is almost 1.7 million. It's a huge population who are living in extreme poverty. So, all the development works we are talking about today, that has to mean something for this vast population. And so when we talk about opportunity, development economics, I think, is a very relevant course, and it has to emphasize more on the developing country context. Last but not least, not the least, is that when development economics is not only for the global south. If you just see the current situation in the UK, the child poverty, the housing issues, and there's so many things that we see, all actually comes under this broad development development economics umbrella. So this is actually, development economics is very much relevant for the developed countries as well. In the USA, for say, the housing issue is a major issue. There is this huge poverty, and everything. So the bottom line I would be saying is that developing economics gives you that training to look with more focused way in these perspectives, and you have the opportunity to work with the development partners like World Bank, IMF, or any leading organizations. You also have the opportunity to work with the NGOs, INGOs like ILO and others, and you also get the opportunity to do definitely in the academia. So I would say that the field is very vast.
Yep.
So if you
Just to add on, as Osman, like he said, I think what makes this program very, very different from most PhD program is the fact that it's not just academic based. It's more of the academia aspect is there, but then it's more of what can you offer after your PhD, not just in terms of academia, but to the industry. So, for instance, for my PhD, I'm just in my second year and I'm already writing policy briefs for Ghana that is going to inform the gold board that is being set up for Ghana and all of that. And I feel like most PhD programs don't give that angle where you get to work and experience what you are working or what you are researching on the ground. So I don't just have to go and then run my models and do all the big econometrics model and then bring it out there. After that, I go back to understand, is this really what is happening on the ground? Is it different from what I found? Why am I finding this? Which I feel like it's mostly very different from most programs. And I think the professors in this program are mostly not just academia professors. They're also professors that want to work and also understand what impacts their research is being made on. So for instance, my advisor, Johan, it's not just about the methods and the results we see. After I present to him a particular analysis, he's like, is that what is happening in Ghana? Maybe that's not what is happening in Ghana. So why am I finding this? Okay, let's tweak this to change this in terms of the Ghanaian context. So we are not just running or doing research just because we want to do the research, but we are applying the research to real life scenarios and then making sure the research informs policy and not just any research that you can just get up and do. Because if it's just a basic research or a basic analogy, my professor in Ghana would say, if it's just research, of course you can go and run a regression of how stones impact buildings. It's not, what is the impact of that? What is the use of that? So I feel like the development economics program, aside the fact that it has great professors, like Mahtab said, excellent professors that you can work with, it also makes you understand the impact of what your research is doing and not just you organizing or doing a research and running models.
Yeah, thank you. That's you both raise kind of important issues. Development economics is not just about learning economic theory. It's training you to deal with real world challenges and kind of providing guidance to policymakers to promote inclusive growth and sustainability. And the fact that you said you want to do research which has an impact is quite important. It's not just about doing research. Okay, because the research you do it, you can put it in the library or somewhere else.
Yeah.
But this one at GDI, we want to see a research which impact on the life of people. And what we also do at GDI, you talk about writing a policy briefing, we kind of encourage our students. In fact, there's a prize for people who write policy briefing and blogs related to the PhD. And also we encourage our PhD to publish their work, and they get
The award.
a prize. They get a prize. So
I'm hunting
be
for
waiting
that
for your for your application.
I will do it this semester. Yeah.
Okay. And something I want to say, Okram, we have, you also mentioned, the professors. And one thing that really work well in GDI is not just professor who sit here at Manchester. We all visit developing countries.
Yep.
Okay, because it's very difficult to understand development economics, development, without being in the developing world.
Yeah.
And most of my colleagues here have links in the developing world, whether it's Africa, Asia, Latin America, and so on. And they tend to share this experience, bring this experience to their supervision, to their research, which kind of spill over to the student. Okay. But one thing I would like to ask, we kind of have introduced a new course to help students acquaint themselves to advanced research technique. And also, as part of the program, you'll have professor come in to present empirical work to you. So what is your view on this module? What do you think it will offer you?
Yeah, I think the model is quite good because so I'm comparing this PhD to my background in economics from the US and from Ghana. Ideally, most PhDs start with coursework, and then you do your comprehensive exam, which you might not pass or fail, and then your life is all over the place. But the fact that in the UK you don't have to start with coursework and then write your comprehensive, which I think, well, this is a disclaimer that I think I need to make. People actually think a PhD in the UK is quite easy because we don't have the comprehensive exam. But I also had that notion before coming here. But in this PhD, I don't know for other schools in the UK, but we do have mid-year review, annual review, which is as intensive as your comprehensive exam. It's even more intensive than your comprehensive exam because in the next 6 months I need to show something. If I don't show that I'm doing something, I'll be let out. So I feel like that is just to put it out there that it's quite intensive but very good, and it keeps you on your toes compared to the PhDs in the US and other places where you just do like a coursework and then you continue with that. So with that, I think the course that is being introduced for development economics is quite good because although, so for me, for instance, I come from a background where I've done so many econometrics, rigorous analysis and all of that. But I see most of my colleagues don't have those basic and understanding of this econometrics model, or maybe to run advanced model that you mostly need for your PhD. So I feel that the course is going to really help most of the people, especially my cohorts, the second year PhD cohorts, where most of them are trying to move away, or not move away, but combine qualitative research with quantitative research. At least having the basic idea of the regressions, what do you mean when you say endogeneity, what does it mean, where you should look out for that, and all of those it's quite great, and it would be good, especially for my cohorts, to have that course set up for us so that we can at least know when to use some models, when not to use some models, and other things. And I also feel like it's going to also reduce the workload of our supervisors because they mostly have to suggest to us, oh, look at this method, it's done this way and that way. But if I go for the course and I do the course, I will be the one to suggest to my supervisor, oh, I learned this method. Do you think it applies to my case study, or do you think I can use it for my model? And that even expands whatever analysis you're trying to create. So yeah, it is a good course that is being introduced, although it's not going to be graded, I think, but it's still quite intensive because at the end of the 6 months you have annual review and mid-year review to do. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mahtab.
I think the advantage of this introducing this course is that it adds more. It makes your training more diversified, and it makes you more capable of doing research in developing economics. The reason I'm saying is that when we talk about development or developing economics research, we should not be thinking about quantity research alone only. So in the GDI, we have the very good training in the GDI PhD that you also learn about the quality training tools. You learn about how to do a focus group discussion, how to do the KI, key informed interviews. So what happens with those qualitative training is that also gives you additional, like, how to, when you go to any developing countries, you don't have a survey data, you go for a KI or FGD, you have that added advantage. So now this course, what it is going to do is it is also going to give an extra quantitative training to the researchers. So all the PhD students who come here in the GDI, they have their undergrad and masters in economics, who are doing in the PhD in developing economics. They have their undergrad and masters in economics, right? So they have at least the master's level econometrics already taught. So the course that is being introduced here is that gives the hands-on, how to see the, how to run the particular, where to look, how to look at the data. So that is, I'd say, the advantage part of this, new course. Like you will be working in the lab, you'll be guided by a professor who will share their work or their, how they approach the particular issue, whether it's endogeneity, whether it is any bias, attrition, anything that you see in survey data. So as I was saying in the beginning, like, it makes you more competitive. So you have knowledge on how to do qualitative, like FGD, KI, and other stuff, and you also have the knowledge on how to do the quantitative, how to work with the endogeneity, how to address that one, how to choose the IV or other DID or PSM that we do. So that will give you the I must say that will make this training as a holistic, because at the beginning of our discussion we were saying, like, the development is not something that you can always quantify. It's always about quality as well. So that needs, when we look at the development, that needs multifocal lens rather than unifocal lens. So adding this in our course makes it multifocal, so that all PhD researchers have both qualitative training as well as quantitative training. So that makes it very strong.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it's important that you kind of raise this point, because the way the course is designed, it combines every aspect of the research skill required by a PhD in development economics and also in development to kind of undertake a rigorous a PhD program. Now, my next question will be, if you want to advise a student on applying for the development economics, what would be the advice you give them?
Okay. For me, I would say you first have to know what exactly you want to do or what exactly you're passionate about. And if you at least get that angle or understand what you want to do, it makes everything easier, because you first of all have to reach out to professors that are in whichever area. So if you are not certain on what you want to do, there's that confusion of you reaching out to multiple professors and it's not giving you any result. So I feel like the first thing is to know what exactly you want to do. What exactly do you want getting a PhD? What impact do you want it to do? Are you looking at maybe poverty? Are you looking at migration like Mahtab is? Are you looking at, what are you looking at? Then you can at least look for professors in the areas that you are interested in. And our department itself has so many professors that know so many things in different diverse area. You would probably find a professor in doing something that you thought no one is doing in GDI. So at least knowing what exactly you want to do would make it easier for you to reach out to these professors. And I feel like you reaching out to most professors should not be done like the way most people do, by just writing a cold email and saying, oh, I saw this paper, that paper, and I'm interested. From the moment where you know what exactly you want to do for your PhD, you can start researching about the professor, reading things that the professor do. If you know that the professor maybe attends this kind of conference, try to present yourself there. That alone makes you or puts you in a better position compared to other people that are reaching out to the professors via email, because most professors are quite busy and most of them would not even get a chance to read your cold email. So it's about how you make yourself stand out amongst the many applicants that are sending these professors the same kind of email. You can do that by doing so many things. Like I mentioned the conference, which for me, I felt like that helped my case, because in Montana, they encourage even master students to attend conferences and present whatever it is you're doing. So it could be your undergraduate research, it could be any research, but trying to go for these conferences or engaging yourself with not just the academia world, the outside world, would also position you better compared to the other applicants. And then I also think one thing is to be certain of when exactly or what exactly you are going to research on for your PhD. So unlike the US-based PhD and a Canada-based PhD where you have to do, like I said, the coursework before you decide, for this PhD, you go straight to the point, first day research. So if you don't know what you're doing, then you would waste your first year doing so many things that are not needed, and you have just 3.5 years to complete a full PhD. So if you don't know what you are doing from the get-go, you get to your annual review and then you are still confused on what you are doing. You don't have anything substantial to contribute for that, and that could lead you to even losing the program, although you gained admission. So I think the main idea and the main thing is to know what exactly you are going to do. It might be a lot and it might put pressure on you to like try to decide it now, but I think if you decide it now, it makes everything easy, and it makes your whole PhD journey very easy, because at the get-go you know exactly what you want to do, and you know exactly what you want to see. So yeah, I think that's what I would say for those who are looking to apply for the PhD program, even not in development economics, any other PhD program. Yeah.
I would suggest a couple of things. I'm completely agree with Matilda. What she was saying is plan early. So when from the I would say if the program deadline is January, you should start planning from 1 year ahead. So you know that your program deadline is January 2027, then you should start from January 2026. The reason is you will have to think about what research question you're going to formulate. It takes some time to look at the literature, find the gap. So think about where you want to contribute, and also think about the papers who tried a similar thing but failed to come up with the solution. And then also look at the data that the possible data that you'll be using. So by the time, take couple of months, because when you will be applying for the PhD, it will you need to be very much prepared, right? So in January 2026, I would say start with the thinking about the idea, what you're going to work, the places you're going to apply. If you want to apply in the GDI, you can look at the professors whose research interest aligns with your work, with your proposal, and then take a couple of months to formulate the proposal, and try to reach out the professors early, like September, October, around that time, so that when you reach out to the professors in September 2026, you have a very clear idea, like what I'm proposing. So when you meet the professor, you have a very clear idea, like what you are proposing, how we are how we are going to do the research, and what data you are going to use. And another thing is that in the discussion it came again and again, is that one very good thing about GDI is that the diverse set of people, the researchers that we have here. Just to say one thing is, my wife is also a PhD researcher in the GDI. She started 1 year after me, but she is looking at the environmental economics. So one of her supervisor is Johan Oldekop, environmental scientist, and then another supervisor is Upasak Das, who is an economist. So it gives her a very good blend of researcher. From Johan, she gets the completely environmental perspective, like what could be the driving forces on the dynamics in Bangladesh, and from Upasak, she gets the feedback on the econometric perspective. Do this, do that. This identification is not working. Look at from that angle. So that blend gives her very holistic. That is, and I must say that that is preparing her very much from a multi perspective, giving her more wider vision. So, but it took her some time to find the supervisors, right? So it takes some time to find other people. And if you are looking at a particular project where you think your ideal combination would be one pure economist and one who is political economist or political scientist, then reach out to those. In the GDI, one advantage is we have leading authorities in political economy, in political science, in economics, geography, and other areas. So I would suggest when you identify your potential research area, then think about the supervisors you're willing to work with, and reach out to them with a concrete idea, the data that you're going to use, the gaps that you have identified, and all that.
Thank you. You both kind of touch on on an important point, which is it's a good idea to contact a potential supervisor before you apply. Because some of the application that we have seen, people will put Osman Ouattara without actually contacting the potential supervisor before applying. And this is not a good strategy, because in most cases, then the application will be unsuccessful. First of all, identify a topic, look at academics research focus, contact them, and they may ask you to share your research proposal, and in some case they want to check your background. They may ask you to provide your undergraduate and master transcripts so that they can see if it fit well and this kind of thing. But it's important to do some background work before you apply. We talk about the research side. We talk about the work side. But what about in terms of well-being, and then also, something I always look for every year is a cultural night, right?
Yeah.
Which will be coming soon. So we kind of do a lot of activities to help our student sail through this PhD journey. If you can quickly say something about this, starting from you again, Matilda.
Well, I think GDI has quite a number of activities. Well, compared to other departments, I don't know for other departments, but we do have the coffee time where we with the PGRs just sit and discuss something, or if we have an alumni coming in, and that is not academic in nature. It's more of like a relaxing situation, hearing from people that have passed through where you're going to, and then the cultural nights, which is there's lots of food from different world, which is fun. And I also think most of the advisors or the professors that you are paired with are very, very good in terms of maintaining like a personal relationship. I can speak for Johan and Sophie, who is my other advisor. Anytime we start our meetings, we are mostly talking about general stuff. Oh, how is your apartment? Did you like general stuff that you wouldn't even think an advisor would even ask? Because it's not just a teacher-student relationship anymore. It's more of like a mentorship. So they are invested in your well-being and not just you meeting them and producing results. They want to ask, how are you doing? Are you feeling okay? Should we change the meeting to next 2 weeks? What do you have for us? It's rather a calm environment for a PhD compared to other PhDs where it's like a teacher-student relationship with most of the advisors, and you are mostly scared to even approach them or talk to them about your ideas. So I feel like GDI makes it very easy to approach any professor or any supervisor here.
No, there are a couple of things I'd like to say on this issue. Is that first of all is that in the GDI we have so many activities and the opportunity to arrange them. So I'm very proud to say the GDI Cultural Night was my brainchild. So when I reached out to Tanya was the PhD director at the time, with the idea like Tanya, we want to arrange this cultural night where we will dress up in our traditional dress, and everyone will bring their one traditional dish from their country. And Tanya was very excited, and she gave us the fun to arrange the cultural night. And then what happened is that in the cultural night we wore our traditional dress, we had our traditional music, we danced together. Everyone brought their food from their country, so we had literally 30-40 country food there. And so you get to see and experience the food, the culture, the music in a one night. And that gave you kind of, we usually arrange it in December, like towards the end of the year, before the Christmas. So it's kind of breaking the year, and it gives you very good bonding. And the one very amazing thing about the cultural night is that when you see people and the researchers from around the world, you feel like you are not only talking about academic stuff, you're sharing the culture, you're sharing the values. And that's what about the development, right? You share your struggle together, you share your bonding together. So in the GDI, we also organized a couple of other things. We had GDI Great Game Night. So it was usually arranged towards the Halloween. And we also organized a couple of times the GDI football matches where the PGS versus professors, we had those matches. And one thing I would say, they are in the GDI. We have the fund for any PGR can apply for a fund for arranging any activity. Last January we applied and we arranged paint your pain away. So basically, the idea was like everyone will come and paint something, and then just relax. So and we got the fund from the school, right? So the thing is that there are funding available that you can arrange if you want to arrange something that is relevant to the well-being of the other PGAs. That scope is also available on top of the the variety of things that we have in the department. And on top of it, I would like to add is that there are also another fund called GDI Innovation Fund, which allows up to £5,000 if you want to arrange anything. We organized a conference. The PGI students, we organized a conference in October, just last month, with that fund. So for the PGAs who want to get involved in arranging other well-being sessions, whether it is painting sessions, whether it is a cultural night or a conference, we have that fund from the department as well. So that I think is an amazing opportunity for the peace researchers, that you can go beyond your studies.
Okay, I want to mention your dancing on the beach.
Of course, yeah, that was amazing.
In North Wales, yeah, I still have the video.
That's
We
amazing.
could add it to this video, so
Yeah.
they move everything.
Short clip.
Yeah. But thank you for kind of mentioning that. Then you raise an important point. At GDI, the relationship between the supervisor and the PGR is that of colleagues. We see our PGRs as colleagues, not students.
Yeah.
And you'll see that we don't really use the word student very much.
Mhm.
We are colleagues, and that's the way we kind of work with PGR. Okay. So if anybody's interested in applying for the PhD in development economics, the admission website offer valuable information. And if you want further information, you can contact me via email. Thank you.